2, 1. What is up, Travelhead? I'm your host, Brian from LifeOfBD, and today I welcome you to Talk with BD. Today's guest is a content creator that I always reach out for advice, and today we're going to talk about content creating during COVID-19, how business as a content creator is affected by coronavirus. So without further ado, Marvin G.
Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Marvin G. I'm from the South Bay, Milpitas to be exact. I've been shooting for about 2 years now. I do wedding photography and video as well. I also do small events, live events, whatever I can get my hands on. Most of the projects that I do, though, are passion projects. And to be honest, I've been doing this for 2 years and I haven't really honed in on something that I really love doing. I just know that I love jumping at whatever events or gigs I can get myself on. But if I were to pick like one specific thing, it would be documentaries and like raw content. Like, I would say, have you heard of Vice?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would like to get into documentary stuff like that, but not that raw. But I would love to get into documentary stuff, highlighting people's stories, organizational stories. Whatever I can get my hands on that I can relate with, I'd love to do documentaries on and do like short films on that. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Welcome to BD's podcast.
Thank you, Marvin. You basically answered the question that before I can even ask you about telling me about yourself. So I guess we'll move on to the next.
You want to start over?
No, it's good. No, it's good. So tell us a little bit about being a content creator.
Well, I mean, for me, I've been creating for 2 years now, and to be honest, it's always been a passion of mine that I just recently discovered. How can I say always been a passion that I recently discovered? Okay, what I meant to say, ever since I've discovered this passion of mine, I've always been really engrossed in like learning from other creators, finding inspiration from others. And I think in the beginning when I first started, let me tell you a little bit how I got started actually.
Yes, please.
So it started 2 years ago when I was on this mission trip. I went to the Philippines. I went on this humanitarian mission trip. We went to Philippines, Thailand, and Cambodia. And while I was there, I filmed a documentary on just an iPhone. And I think I had this gimbal. I forgot who it was, but it was an Osmo gimbal. And before I went to this mission trip, I found some YouTube channels on how to do mobile videography. And, the number one person that popped up every time was Andy 2. So I dove into his content and I looked at his story. I looked at everything that he did, from how he cut, the music, the style of edits, and just his personal story. I related with it so much, coming from East Oakland, where he's from. I realized, this dude came up from the ground up to where he's at now through life struggles. And as for me, I chose to go through the struggles that I went through, because if you were to ask me, I had a lifestyle where everything was there for me, but all I had to do was choose it. Growing up as a single child and my father not being around and my mother always working, I had no influence but the people around me, and most of those folks were in the streets. So I was running and ripping, doing all those things, getting in trouble, getting caught up with the law, and just doing a lot of bad things. And I had no direction growing up. So I can kind of relate to Andy 2 on that level where, growing up and you had a lot of homies doing the wrong things and you was just trying to do right. So back to meeting Andy 2 back to seeing Andy 2's content, I got so inspired. So that's when I realized, how can I get on his level and how can I do what he does? And then from there, it just sparked this inspirational path for me to go and create content. So back to the Philippines, I did this documentary, shot it just on my iPhone. And while I was there, I was just like, you know what, man? I think this is something that I really want to do. And this is something that I enjoy doing. After that mission trip, I came back to America and I bought my first camera, which was my A6500.
Hey.
I bought this on Craigslist for like $1,300. The lens came with it, and I'm telling you, bro, before I even had the iPhone, I had a cheap Samsung phone from Metro PCS. And, the reason why I bought the iPhone was like, I'm trying to step my game up as far as pictures and videos. Then after the mission trip, I said I'm gonna step my game up, and I bought a camera. So everything changed from that mission trip. Uh, I um, I realized, this is something that I really wanted to do. Now, before we jump forward into like why I realized that, I do want to say that I'm a man of faith, and I believe in God. And this mission trip that we did was all about sharing the gospel. And while I was out there, I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know what I was trying to do before that mission trip. Like I was telling you, growing up in the way that I did, I had no firm foundation. But coming to have a relationship with God and just being on that path led me to being this content creator that I am now. And I just wanted to let y'all know that, in this time right now with COVID-19 going on, it's giving you a lot of time to just sit down and be cool and be at your pad and focus on the things that you really need to realign your life with, whether it's content creating, your family, your relationships, your business. So yeah, man.
Let's go back to Andy Taylor. I've actually met him before he became a content creator, or like before he was big in it. Like he actually seen me street boxing before. I don't know if people are supposed to hear
Yeah.
about that, but yeah, I used to do a lot of street boxing. I remember he was one of the boys just watching and stuff. I mean, you could even go back to one of the videos where you could hear him screaming when I dropped my opponent. but yeah,
Oh.
but yeah, like
Oh shoot! I gotta see that video.
it's not for the viewers. I'm kidding. But yeah, his hyperlapse, dude, the way he tells his story, everything is really cool. Like I'm
Yep.
inspired by him too. Like I
Yep.
try to do those hyperlapse, but
Definitely.
the patience, people don't know. It's like it takes forever to do these. Like it's crazy. He got it. He just got it all in him. And he's from East Auckland.
Yep.
I'm what? Technically not from East Auckland, but he's raised around East Auckland. I'm from East Auckland too, so in ways
Oh,
we
okay.
can relate to. And yeah, my family knows him. My
Mm-hmm.
sister, my brother, they're all cool with him still.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. And then you, Marvin, it's like, yeah, this trip to Asia, like how long was it?
It was a 2-week trip.
So you went there to somewhat film a documentary. Like, how was the experience there? Like, where were you like staying and stuff while over there?
We went to the Philippines, Thailand, and Cambodia. First in the Philippines, we stayed in we stayed in Samar, I think. Cebu. Yeah, Cebu. So while we were out there, I mean, I don't know where the idea came from wanting to do a documentary for them and being invited to this mission trip connected, but it was just all it was so timely that my passion for videography started at the same time that I was going out to this mission trip. So while I was out there, I was the reactive creative, if you will, because 2 years down the road, being the reactive creative kind of is difficult to edit in post, if you know what I'm talking about. Because I'm sitting here like trying to capture this and trying to capture that, trying to get the cool shot, but really like in post, you realize like all these cool shots, these shots that you think are going to be so awesome in post actually ends up ruining the whole edit. So
Yeah.
back then I was just like trying to capture all these good moments and trying to record every little thing, and that's just how I rolled throughout the whole thing. Other people were focused on their ministry while they were giving food out to the children. A lot of other people were just doing things on the side while I was just in the middle of it capturing everything. If you want, man, I mean, I got it posted on my YouTube channel. I got that missionary trip video up there. But while I was there, man, I was just pretty much quiet, bro, and I was just filming everything that I could.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see some of
Yeah.
those behind the scenes shots too of you doing this. But yeah, knowing you always have gigs lined up. How do you feel like COVID-19 has affected you and the gigs, like the cancellations and everything?
So as far as right now, I recently got laid off from a job in San Francisco, and I was a full-time creator. So while I was up there, I was getting part-time gigs, and ever since I got laid off, I've been doing all these gigs, and this was back in November. So November all the way up until last month, everything was cool. But I mean, luckily for me, before COVID hit us, well, luckily and unfortunately at the same time, because if I was really surviving on doing gigs, I'd be out of luck right now, because the only thing that I'm striving on right now is this unemployment check. Every gig that I had have been done and dealt with, and then moving into this COVID pandemic, everything just like cut off right before it started, because this is the time where all the weddings are happening. So I partner with Gala Photo and Films, and we do a lot of weddings together. Sometimes they come out and help me to do a lot of my gigs as well. But jumping into this COVID thing, I had a few different gigs that were supposed to happen but never happened. So they held a lot of these people held off on booking with me and just said, "Look, until this whole pandemic dies down, we'll just keep you in mind until everything dies down." So like, as far as it affecting me, I mean, I've been chilling at the house. I've been staying at home, working on projects that I've piled up, and I've finally been getting them all out the way. But as far as how it has personally affected me and my lifestyle as a creative and a content creator, it hasn't been so drastic, if you will. And I say this not to be insensitive to other people that could be that are being hit hard, but as for me, I'm just actually chilling and cooling right now, if you really ask me.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I know it has affected me also, this thing as a content creator, because Oakland Chinatown Chamber of Commerce wanted me to do an event, and I hit you up also because I need someone that has a good visual and knows what they're doing, because I'm still kind of lost when I do this, and I'm always asking for advice. You're one guy I always ask for advice and stuff, and I follow up with it. But yeah, so yeah, this.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, all the gigs that actually have been coming my way, I've actually been denying them because honestly, they're not things that I know I'm gonna give my full heart to. So I do have a few selective clients that I do work with now, and it's just like, that's clockwork and that's money to come, and it doesn't take away from, because I mean, when you get a gig and it's something that you're not into, your heart's just not going to be in it. It's just going to be difficult to work. But I'm pretty sure there's creators out there who are like, all about the money. At the same time, don't care whether it's doing like a commercial for a dog grooming company, or doing a video for an independent artist who does this type of music. Like, I'm very specific in what I work with, and sometimes I just kick back and I bask in the fact that I don't have to worry about clients coming, because I'm not really paper chasing it like that, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's called passionate content creator right there, loving job.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, right? So you're loving what you're doing, you're not going to get tired of it because you love it.
And I'm not trying to put myself in a position where I'm working things that I know I'm going to get tired of. So yeah.
Okay, so during this shelter in place, you're not just at home Netflix and chilling, right?
Oh man, I'm Netflixing and chilling for sure.
Okay.
I mean, that's where I get a lot of my inspiration, man. Like, I've been watching a lot of films, and when I do watch, I don't just watch to watch. I watch to be inspired. Like, how did they cut this? How did they do the audio in such a way, And I'm just trying to understand. When I watch, for me, it's educational. A lot of people, it's like entertainment purposes, but for me, it's educational at the same time, informational. So, I mean, recreational, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about all this, like back then when I asked you how you get all these angles, like you just started shooting like a few months ago, like how do you know how to do all this? And you told me about all this, and I try to do it, but for some reason I can't. I'm always like paying attention to the storyline instead of the cuts.
Yeah, and the cool thing about like loving movies the way that I do is that before I started creating, I was always in a movie, so I was just always fascinated by how movies were and how they made me feel so emotional, how you were always so invested into it, and you're just like, man, that's so cool. And then now, all the way up until today, it's finally there's like a purpose in my passion for watching films, because now when I'm watching films, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna incorporate that into my next project,
Yeah, and we see you growing really fast, I remember just not when you first started, but 6 months into it, you were talking about, I was like, damn, like when I found out you've only been in it for 6 months, I was like, is he for real? Like, 'cause I'm like,
yeah,
look like he's been in it for a while already. That's why I was like, I knew from then on, I was like, oh, this guy got something going, Yeah. So during isolation, is there like, are you still creating content in some ways? Like, is the isolation stopping you, halting you from any creating?
Not at all. When it comes to creating, isolation is not stopping me because I got hard drives full of so much content that I've captured from like last year, dude. So there's no way that I'm gonna lack in creating content because you can have all these archived files and then just pull them out and start playing. Because some people might misconceptualize the idea of creating content as getting out there and capturing content, but like when it comes to creating, isolation is the best place to start doing that because it's just you and your room and your laptop. And if you want to create content, the thing that's going to get in your way is you and maybe Netflix or social media or whatever else that you can get distracted by.
Yeah, I get you on that one. I can agree with you on that too, because I do have a lot of hard drives and I'm just scrolling through like, what can I tell a different story with all the stuff I have right now? So that's one thing I'm trying to get into. And being in isolation, I started this podcast. It's like I'm not just sitting at home. Like I'm enjoying doing this podcast too. It's something I never thought I could do, and here I am. I'm doing a podcast with you, one of the boys,
Yeah, right?
and we're talking about content creating, something that we both have a passion in. So that's what's pretty cool. And we get to educate the viewers on some stuff too. Yeah. And then, during isolation, we do have a drone, if anything.
Oh,
We could
shoot.
always whip out the
See,
drone. We're
I
still at
know.
home, so
It's been a minute since I pulled out the drone, too, for real.
yeah. So, one of these days I'll get a hyperlapse going from my yard. So I'm still in isolation, so no one can say anything. It's the drone flying, not me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've seen some of your hyperlapses, man. They've gotten better.
Thank you. It's all
Yeah.
studying YouTube and Google, man. And then of course your advice.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, it all started with your advice. When you were using the DJI. What was the little thing you used?
The Osmo Pocket.
Yeah, the DJI Pocket thing you was using, and then
Mm-hmm.
you told me how you got the hyperlapse. I'm like, wait, like I've tried it many times, and then suddenly I watched one more YouTube video. I was like, oh, I get what Marvin's saying now. So all that, shout out to you. If you never told me how you did it, like I wouldn't been lost on it this whole time. So without credit,
Yeah, and if thanks, man. I appreciate that. I mean, no credit to me, man. No credit taken. I appreciate that. It's like that content is out there for us to look for, and we just gotta find it. I found it through like you said, man. I found it on YouTube, and I shared that knowledge with you. And for you guys watching right now, like the hyperlapse that we're talking about was simply I call it a gimbal lapse because I'll take a gimbal or I'll take my Osmo or some stabilizer and I'll walk in a straight line. I'll do the ninja walk, and I'll do my straight line, or I'll do my 5-minute walk down a narrow path, and I'll record, and then from recording I'll just throw some motion blur on there and some sound effects, and it just all comes. So if you heard that now, don't think like creators are out there cheating you. I mean, it's all about getting the job done any and every way that you can.
as a content creator who's always like out trying to get content, and it's weird to be isolated at home, let's be honest, in a way. Well, not for you. We already heard from your story of how it's not really weird.
How is it for you?
For me, being at home isn't that bad because this podcast, to be honest, is really keeping me busy. Just editing the podcast after filming each person. Like I'm filming people that I've never met personally, or I've never met, and I was like, wow, this is cool. Yesterday I just got done filming Lily, who is someone that's from Boston but based in Hong Kong right now, and I got to like talk to her about her story, how Hong Kong is right now. And then you got someone from South Korea, Sarah Jun, and then just a few friends too, like like you're one of my friends. I get to record, and I've always wanted to tell your story to people because it's like, your content is just so cool. It's like, yeah, it's worth it. So
Thanks, man.
being on shelter in place, like, do you feel like it has put you in a more creative mindset, even though it hasn't really affected you too much?
Not really. I mean, it's a bummer to say. As a creator, always working on projects, and in this time right now, usually I'm like at a coffee shop or I'm out and about. But being here, the only thing that I can have to be really inspired by is my thoughts and content on the internet. So as far as like being placed in this room isolated by myself, I haven't been really inspired or been pushed to being more creative. It's just what has happened is the time that I've actually been able to sit down and focus on my edits. I've learned about myself and how I film and how I edit. And when it comes to learning about how I film, like I told you in the beginning, I was a reactive creative. And in retrospect, I was very passionate and ambitious, but now I'm more reserved about the things that I shoot, the things that I film, how I film it. And the reason why is because I just finished a very big project yesterday. All I gotta do is just like sync up all the audio, sync up all the clips, and put all the headlines and all that stuff, and do a little color grading. While I was editing that, I was able to see how sucky I am at filming sometimes. Because when I'm sitting here editing, I'm getting so pissed off. I'm like getting so pissed off at the fact, like, why did I shoot that shot that way? Why did I think it was cool to take my gimbal and like move it hecka fast? Because really what a gimbal is supposed to do, depending on what you're using it for, is to give you slow and steady shots. And this project was a project that took me for a long time to get done because, like I said, man, sitting down doing a project you're not so passionate about causes you to like be so disinterested into it. So while I was editing and while I've been working on my own content, it's just helped me. It's groomed me to being a better editor and to be a better shooter when I come out of this COVID thing. So man, I mean, the real takeaway from this lockdown is seeing my work and working on my own work and realizing the things that I need to do better when I get back in the field, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. As a content creator, do you have anything to like let everyone else that's isolated, like any recommendations, suggestions, like what they should be doing during lockdown?
I mean, I really hate trying to tell people what to do or like try to say something for people to be encouraged. But if there is one, I mean, not in a way where it's like I want to withhold saying something. I just want to be the guy to take everyone else's positivity and everyone else's advice instead of being the one to act like I know it all, you know. I just want to see what other people say. But if there is one thing that I would say is to just like get to know yourself right now, get to know your workflow, organize your stuff, get rid of all the stuff that you don't need and keep the stuff that you do need and like work on that. Build your craft, learn how to use the tone curve, you learn how to edit better with Adobe or Final Cut, whatever you use. Just take all the stuff that you have in your archives and actually create something out of it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, dude. The other day, I was actually super bored the other day, and I haven't showed this to anybody, and I can't believe I'm about to show this to y'all. But you know, due to this COVID pandemic, cleaning has always been something I've overlooked. Lysol and spray, disinfect to protect. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Oh, but here, look at this. You know, due to this COVID pandemic, what is this? Cleaning has always been something. Oh heck no!
Well, my viewers, you guys got the first look of one of his projects.
No, it's not even a project. I was just so bored.
Yeah.
I know. I was just so bored. I recorded my girlfriend cleaning up, and I was just like, let me grab the camera and try to create something out of this.
Did you learn anything out of it?
No.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think? What's the first thing you're gonna do when COVID-19 cools down or when it's over? What's one thing you want to do outside?
Well, one thing that I would love to do after this COVID thing like wraps up is watch a movie. Yeah, because I bought these tickets. You know the 4-pack you can get at Costco, and I was planning on using them, but ever since this happened, I can't. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to doing again is watching a movie on the big screen. Because like I said, I love watching movies and I love being inspired by movies.
What movie are you looking at for 2020?
I don't even know, honestly. Whatever movie's coming out that No cap, bro. Mulan.
Yeah, Mulan. I was ready for that. I was ready to watch Mulan and then eat some shabu,
Mm-hmm.
but those plans are canceled. I'm like, dang
Yep.
it, no.
So maybe I'll be looking forward to seeing that when it comes out and when we can get back out on the streets and gather.
Yeah, we gotta hang out too, hit a coffee shop or whatever when we're back out there. So yeah, Marvin, I thank you for coming on as a guest, and let everyone know where they can find you. Your mastery, your content creation, and all that
Well,
stuff.
most of my content is on Instagram. It's Marvin triple N dot G, and then you could also find me on YouTube under Marvin Gabriel. Thank you guys so much for sticking.
All
Yep.
right, yeah, all right. Thank you, everyone. We are out of here.